Kia ora, welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes with DailyStraits.com. Our guest today is Greg Sheehan, the CEO of Playbooks. Playbooks is a B2B e-commerce platform that uses meeting as an ultimate place of business guidance, decision-making, and purchase. In other words, Playbooks make meetings suck less by making them easy and fun through a super simple meeting and collaboration tool. Then there are businesses with expertise in a particular product or a service who'd love to help others, especially when their very area of expertise is being discussed in another meeting. Playbook does everything. It brings everyone together. So today we're going to pick Greg's brains and ask him everything about the product and some of the company's expansion plans for the year. Hi, Greg. Thank you for joining us today from Auckland, I believe.
Kia ora, June. Actually, I'm coming to you from the bottom of the North Island in New Zealand. So about an hour or so from Wellington.
Awesome. Alrighty. So how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. And yeah, definitely good to be chatting to you today.
Awesome. All right. So let's dive into the questions. So the first question is, how did the idea for this business come about? Because I believe you have two businesses, right? So this is the second one?
Yes, correct. This is my second startup. How did the idea come about? This was really the result of me experiencing a problem in my first startup. So my first startup was an accounting business, and I co-founded that with three others, and we grew that accounting business to be one of Xero's largest partners globally. And we used to have this problem where our accountants would go out and want to talk to small business owners. The business owners would be looking for help on how to grow their business. And the accountants often needed more help. Let me put that politely. They needed more help to really know how to understand and how to build a small business better than perhaps what the skill set they had. And so that used to bug me. I used to meet a lot of accountants. I end up speaking at a lot of accounting events around the world, and I would meet all of these accountants, and they all had a similar issue. And so we tried to say, how could we go about changing that? And I'm a massive believer in small business. I love small business, and I love that people can take something ideally that they're quite passionate about. It might be that they're a chef and they want to buy a restaurant, and they know how to be a chef, but they don't know how to run a restaurant necessarily. They don't know all the ins and outs of leasing a building and hiring staff and rostering staff and things. And I've always been super passionate about solving that problem and helping small business owners be more successful. And to be able to impact that at scale or globally, the easiest way to do that, or the most obvious way of doing that, was with software. And so we built this business, or we started off on this business about 18 months ago, and we were out to solve this problem, and here we are, startup number 2.
Awesome. Okay, so this is about you, your past. So you've been working with a company like Nike, like a really good company, and then you decided to dabble into entrepreneurship. So basically, why the shift?
Yeah. A lot of people ask me that, right? Like I had a really good corporate career in the first half of my career. I had, as you say, I was fortunate enough to work with some really amazing brands. Nike obviously is one of the most well-known brands, and it was such a cool company to work for. I also spent time in the airline industry. I was at Air New Zealand, and so they were great. They were really cool roles to have. They were challenging. I was paid well in those roles. They provided for my family. They were really rewarding. But I'm a risk taker. I am one of these people who looks at life and knows that at some point, and hopefully it's a long way off, but at some point I'm going to come to the end of my life. And I have always wanted to be able to look back on my life and know that I really challenged myself, and I did things that that I wanted to do and wanted to give things a go. And so entrepreneurship was just a logical extension for me. As an entrepreneur, you get to choose exactly what it is you're going to go and do. You get a whole lot of unexpected events arise. The speed of entrepreneurship and early stage business is so much faster than normal business. So it's super challenging, but yeah, I love it. I describe entrepreneurship as being like another sport, and in fact, it's almost like being at the elite level of that sport. So it's super tough, but yeah, super rewarding.
Got it. So what was the initial investment to start Playbook?
Look, we really started it without much at all. We got started, with only a few $1,000s and really just kind of kicked off an exercise looking at the problem we were trying to solve. And from there, we started to formulate that into an idea around some software. And then we started to cost out what that software would cost us to build, at least an initial version of it. And then we raised capital to help with that.
So is this business an extension of your first startup or a completely different one?
Completely new business. Yeah.
All right, completely new business. And with new partners, are you the only one who's running the show?
Yeah, look, I'm the only founder, but we've got a small team of around 5 or 6 people, and we've got an investor base of 20 or 30 odd people. And we've got a board. It's very early in the company's life, but we've put a board in place because I believe in the value of a board.
That's really interesting. So what about some of the challenges? Because it looks like you're a seasoned entrepreneur, so you wouldn't have faced much challenges building the product from the ground up. But if you did, what was it 18 months ago?
I had lots of challenges, June. I still do. I think
Really?
there's this, yeah. I think there's this sense, or there's a kind of a misunderstanding that if you're a seasoned entrepreneur, and whatever that might mean, whether you're doing it for the second, third, fourth time, whatever, that you are not going to have problems. I think the reality is actually very different. Yes, you have experience, and yes, you have more resilience. You've felt the pain before. You're familiar with the pain. You know the pain of finding product market fit, or finding investors, or having issues with team members, or customer feedback that's not great. Whatever it is, whatever those things are that are tough, you know how that feels, and you know how to deal with that feeling. But perhaps because you're, let's use that phrase again, a seasoned entrepreneur, you have higher expectations. And so you assume that you're going to be able to climb a higher mountain. And I think the nature of an entrepreneur, and particularly those that I've always admired, is sort of, the nature is something that is quite, they like the challenge. They like the danger involved with the size of the challenge. And so if they're seasoned, they just like to climb a higher mountain and put themselves under a greater level of risk.
So what was the main challenge you faced in producing Playbooks? Did they tell you, oh my God, you've got another business, why are you starting this? Or, it's hard to find tech talent, maybe? I don't know. Did you have any of those?
Yeah, look, it's definitely tough finding tech talent. And I think that's a global problem, right? So we're living in an era globally where obviously everything is moving digital. Everything, our whole world, our lives are moving to become more and more digital, and the rate of change is just increasing every day. And new software applications are being created. That's having this demand on software engineers. So it's very hard to find software engineers, and I think that could be true for some time. So yeah, that's been a challenge. It's a brand new business, trying to solve a problem in a certain way. So finding product market fit, it's taken us a good 12 months to really find where that is. And sometimes you can have, what's often known as the curse of knowledge. So because you are experienced, you think you know what the answer to a problem is. And actually, you need to listen to customers and really listen, possibly more than you would. You really have to listen more than you would if you were inexperienced. So, I think in a sense, the inexperienced entrepreneurs is kind of, in a sense, they don't know what they don't know. The experienced entrepreneur thinks they know what they know, and actually that is not necessarily a good thing.
Awesome. Okay, so early on in the podcast, you were explaining about how the app helps small businesses, right? So I have a question here. How is this product different from Microsoft Teams and Zoom? Because Playbooks is very much a meeting-centric app, right? So maybe the first thing is give us an example on how Playbooks can change people's life.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So you're right. I mean, this is a common question I get. Is this different to Zoom, for example? And so Playbooks is not a video conferencing tool. Um, it integrates with video conferencing tools, but it's not the actual video conferencing element. What it is, it's all about collaboration and productivity in collaboration and meetings. So, for example, we can run a meeting, we can share the build out of what we're going to talk about. So let's say there's 5 or 6 people in a meeting. They can all get an invite to the meeting. They can all jump in and add things to the agenda. You can move those agenda items up or down. You can record notes in the meeting. So you can actually make those notes private to you as the user, or you can share those notes with everybody else in the meeting. You can record actions and assign them to other people, and they can have those actions appear on their own personal dashboards of to-do lists. So it just makes that whole process a lot easier. And then at the end of a meeting, you simply hit the send meeting summary button, and everybody's got a record of everything that was discussed and agreed at that meeting. So there's no more following up with emails after the meeting to talk about, and hey, this is what you were going to do, this is what you were going to do. So that's all gone. And then where we're heading with the product is the ability to share meetings across wide groups of people that we call spaces. Now, spaces is a concept that allows either a section of people. There could be a department, there could be some sort of community group that want to get access to all of the different interactions, all of the different meetings that were held, all of the documents that were shared, etc. for that. So just that ability to do collaboration much easier. And I guess the other main difference between our tool and any other tool on the market is we actually have content merging with our meeting tool. So we actually call it content guided collaboration. And so that content it's generally 2 types of content. It's either a business process, might be, here's how we like to do something with a new customer that we're onboarding, or here's a technical process that we want to do with a client or one of our colleagues. And that process is a series of playbooks or content that we get to use and run through step by step in our meeting and record actions against that content. And you can create whatever content you want and drag that into your meeting. But equally, we've got a marketplace on the content. So what we're allowing people to do is, if they've got some expertise on whatever it is that they have expertise on, but a business product or a business service, we're allowing them to create a playbook, put it into our public marketplace, and other people can use their playbook to help solve their problem. And obviously what that does is it positions the external expert as the expert with this product or service, and then there's potential to connect the people who've got the problem with the expert that can help solve that.
Awesome. So when you said record, you meant voice, right? Voice record?
So no, there's no voice recognition in the software yet, but
Okay,
the keyword
yet.
there is yet. Mm.
Awesome. And also, right, you mentioned that you can have a marketplace. So is the marketplace free for whoever wants to put
Yep.
their service there?
It is. So people can access the tool for free. They can access the meeting tool for free. They can access the public marketplace of Playbooks for free. And we actually charge, we have 2 types of ways of monetizing the platform. So if you want to integrate your calendars and other tools, your CRMs, etc., into our meeting product, you pay for that. You pay a small monthly fee per month. And equally, if you want to promote your product or your service by creating a playbook that's branded with your own company's branding on, and have that shared into the public marketplace for people to see your brand and your product and service expertise, we charge for that as well.
Okay, great. So what about competitors? I mean, this is a normal question I always ask. Do you have anyone? Is it Microsoft Teams or Zoom, or you're completely unique?
Yeah, I guess I mean, we have competitors on each side of our platform. So if we think of content on one side and collaboration on the other. So in terms of collaboration, you're right. There's tools like Zoom, there's tools like Microsoft Teams, there's all sorts of kind of meeting application software. And then on the content side, content's such a big area. But if we think about it from a business content point of view, that's generally things like file storage platforms like Dropbox or Box or Google Drive, etc. But nobody has brought the content side and the meeting and collaboration side together into one platform. So in that sense, we're unique, but we have competitors on each side of the platform.
Awesome. So, what about, I'm going to ask this, where are you most downloaded in? Is it New Zealand, your home country?
Yes. Yeah, New Zealand and Australia. Probably Australia is actually probably stronger than New Zealand for us at the moment. And that's been our focus. Our focus has been Australia and New Zealand to date.
Anywhere else in America?
Yeah, we've had people use the software in the US, in Canada, the UK, but our focus is very much on those two countries in terms of the local on the ground team. We've got somebody in the ground in Australia. The rest of the team here is in New Zealand, but it's a small business, right? We're small. We're just getting started. Classic startup. But if people want to use the tool wherever they are in the world, they can use that now.
Awesome. So coming to that, how many people do you have right now working on Playbooks?
There's about I think there's about all up about 8 right now.
Awesome. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the expansion plans for the product and the business? So you said you wanted to add in voice, right? When is that going to kick in?
Yeah, look, we are working on our product roadmap, and although I don't make the product roadmap public, we are looking at doing some cool things with the product. So things like, as you say, voice recognition. So the ability to add an action in a meeting just by simply asking the software to record an action. Handwriting recognition software, so integrating with your handwriting recognition so that if you're using a tablet, you can easily write notes in the meeting, but have that recorded in the platform. Beyond that, where we're sort of getting quite excited is the ability to really do some cool things around content. And by that, at a minimum, just being able to add a lot more rich media into our content playbooks. So at the moment, playbooks are essentially it's a rich text editor with the ability to add hyperlinks and notes, etc. But we want to add rich media, so video, imagery, etc. But beyond that, the ability for us to have a content play that allows not only much easier creation of content, but also consumption of content. So imagine some sort of browser extension where you can go in and type. You're looking for help on a particular issue. And then it suggests a playbook or a series of playbooks on that particular topic. And then you can use that to help you solve your particular problem. So there's a bunch of things we want to be able to do there. But obviously, it's early days.
So expansion plans for the company, are you looking for seed capital or external investors?
Yeah, we're in the middle of a seed round right now. And it actually closes at the end of July. So that's very active right now.
So what happens after that? What is what is your next move?
Yeah, so basically this capital is then used to really respond to, we're putting a new product in market at the end of July that everybody will see probably close to the end of the July. So this money just allows us to accelerate our engineering development, accelerate our user acquisition strategy, and then build into our future product roadmap that we've got lined up for the next sort of 18 months or so.
So are you saying that this is a beta version or this is already?
No, we had a beta version out probably 6 months ago, and we've used that to get customer feedback and early customer feedback. This product that gets released in a few weeks is the result of listening to all of that feedback and responding with, we think, the first really cool application of the product.
So still same name, Playbooks?
Sorry, say that again?
Is that going to be a same name, Playbooks?
Yes. We're working. It's still Playbooks, but it's just a bunch of new features that we're bundling into a particular offer inside Playbooks.
Oh, new interface and like an absolutely
Uh,
new
no,
product.
no, no, not a new interface, just a series of aspects to the tool that are not there now that'll make that collaboration much easier. So
Oh.
yeah, as I say, we're working on the name at the moment. It'll be released. We're hoping to release it about that third week of July.
Oh, that's really soon. That's
It is
really
very
soon.
soon.
So, right now the app, right? Does it need a minimum usage of two people to be able to work, or can you just use it as a one person, one man
No,
show?
you can use it. Obviously, meetings with one person are not particularly effective, but you can go and consume playbooks on your own. So you can sign up to the account on your own, and then what you can do is you can invite somebody else into the meeting as well, and they can sign up and create an account as well.
Awesome. And then this is like specifically for, you said just now, small business. Do you expect to increase your target market to other, big enterprises?
Yes, that is, you're absolutely right. So we've had a lot of interest from enterprise. Look, my passion is small business. As I said at the beginning, I have a particular love for people running their own small businesses. That's the thing that really kind of gets me excited. But having said that, we've had a lot of interest from larger enterprises that have a need to manage their meetings and their collaboration better and have a lot of content. And that content is either sitting in some sort of intranet that's not widely used, or it is on some sort of Google Drive or something, and then people can never find the right document. There's multiple versions of the same document, and so they typically don't quickly grab it in a meeting. So we want to remove that process as well and just make that whole process a lot easier. And so we're getting interest from some banks, some government ministries, and some larger corporate businesses as well. Right now, though, we're not putting a focus on that. Right, like with all classic startups, you have to put a focus somewhere, and our focus right now is on small business.
Okay, so what's the maximum number of people that can go on the app for at the moment?
There is no maximum, really. I guess it just comes down to so we don't cap it. There's no absolute limit. It's just that as you start to move into, if an enterprise comes along and they say, hey, we've got 100 people, or we've got 500 people, or we've got 1,000 people, those organizations typically require a couple of things that are very different from small business. One of them being security. So they'll have much higher levels of security. And so we've got to ensure that our software has the ability to protect their organizational data. Secondly, there's obviously a much wider issue around what we would call organizational permissioning. So in a larger organization, there's often more layers of management. Different people are allowed to have access to different things. That level of organizational permissioning is not built into Playbooks yet. And of course, organizational permissioning in much smaller businesses is not really such an issue. However, what we're releasing in 2 or 3 weeks will allow smaller businesses to be able to share more broadly across the teams, etc. But yes, there's no limit, but in absolute terms, but there are perhaps some day-to-day practicalities that we would need to work through first.
I just asked because, if there's 100 people, will the app, slow down or break or, that kind of thing? Oh, it's fine. It will still run?
It's definitely going to run, and it's definitely not going to slow down. I guess that's the issue for us is as we scale to make sure that we've got, the speed and the processing time is fast. We're in the Azure, Microsoft Azure network, so we can scale our back end reasonably quickly. So I don't see that being an issue.
So I asked this to all tech founders. So this is it's an app, right? So moving forward, are you planning to list this in the stock market? Is this part of the roadmap or not?
Yeah, look, I don't have any firm plans to list at this stage. There's good and bad reasons for listing. I mean, if you list early, obviously you get access to capital, which is great, but your compliance costs, increase with listing, and you are under sort of public scrutiny, and so you have less what I would call wriggle room when you're publicly listed. You can't take big moonshot bet on things as easily because you're under the spotlight of the public market. So you have to be a lot more cautious. Whereas if we remain in the private market, raising capital can sometimes be more difficult because you don't have the liquidity of a public market. But you can remain private, and so you get to be able to place bigger bets and do some things that are a little bit scarier and a little bit riskier. So we're always going to be weighing those two things up. So never say never, but it's not in the current plan.
Okay, so finally, the question is now you have two businesses, and how do you use Playbooks to make your life easier? Do you use the product? And because you have two companies running concurrently, right? So how has Playbook changed your life?
Yeah, look, to be clear, no, I don't have. I've got companies that I'm a shareholder in, but I'm only active in Playbooks. So my 100% of my day goes into Playbooks. We obviously use Playbooks internally. So, and you would expect us to, right? You would want us to be using it internally. So how's it changed my life? It's just meant that I don't, at the end of the day, I'm not sitting there sending out emails, following up actions that I needed to record from meetings and interactions I've had during the day. As well as that, like for example, I was in a meeting yesterday with one of my team, and we agreed that I would do the action, and he was able to type into Playbooks, it's Greg, allocate it to Greg, and then it pops up on my dashboard. So I don't have to take an email from him. I don't have to type it into my to-do list. It's there. It's just automatically there for me, so I can see that. So it's just made our lives, running sort of back-to-back interactions and meetings much easier, much faster.
Awesome. And that is all the time that we have today. We've been speaking to Greg Sheehan, the CEO of Playbooks. Thank you, Greg, for your time today.
Thank you, June. It's been a real blast.
Awesome. And the pleasure is all ours. Be sure to join us next week where we will interview another awesome entrepreneur from across the Tasman. Thank you very much.